Good evening, everybody. I welcome you to this one of our first introduction meetings to the new merged agency, which is Smith & Jones Green Grass Agency, where, of course, we're taking in all the aspects of both agencies and growing. It's a great pleasure to be here to introduce you to one thing that you might find a little arduous, but really it's in everyone's interest to get on board and make this succeed. And that is, of course, the risk control plan. We have many risks and many hazards in our day-to-day business, and we do want to plan for those, identify them, plan them, and then implement strategies in order to circumvent them. Now, today I'm going to show you or talk with you about the points on the screen at the moment, and these are basically legislation, because we do adhere to legislation to the word. Ethical standards, very important. Our new organisation chart combined risks and control measures that we can undertake. And we want your involvement, and we also want your feedback so that we can improve this all the way, of course. There is a legal responsibility to control risks wherever we're active in the workplace, whether here, in between our workplace and offsite as well. We look to have a completed first risk control plan by the end of January 2024. So we have 4 months here, and we want to do reviews every 6 monthly just to keep us up to date. We strive to manage our staff safety at all times. It's so important, and of course, provide the appropriate procedures and equipment for a safe working environment. It's not only a legality, but it's an ethical concern of ours. Now, as far as legislation is concerned, and this is about being offsite, being a lone worker at the office, and in between. Now, Safe Work Australia, I'm sure you're aware of Safe Work Australia. Their goal, their purpose is to improve work environment, our health and safety, that's work health and safety, WHS, I'm sure you've seen that acronym before, as well as workers' compensation arrangements within Australia. It's the umbrella organisation. A major purpose of it is also to harmonise work health and safety laws across all of the states, because as we know, the states are mostly independent, but they do work together. And of course, we raise awareness within organisations such as ours and develop policies and identify improvements to the work health and safety in the workplace. Now, the relevant legislation in New South Wales is the Work Health and Safety Act 2011. There's a regulation attached to that, which is called the Work Health and Safety Regulation 2017. Now, I'm not going to read those to you today. You would fall asleep after about 5 minutes, but you're very welcome to Google them, find them, and read and peruse them. Even if you look at the titles of some of the paragraphs, I'm sure there will be some interest there for you. Now, the Work Health and Safety Act aims to protect the health and safety of workers and other people by eliminating or minimizing risks, both physical and psychological. It's to ensure fair and effective representation, consultation, and cooperation to address and resolve health and safety issues. Also to encourage unions and employer organisations to take a constructive role in improving work health and safety practices. It also assists businesses and workers to achieve a healthier and safer work environment. Promotes information, education, and training on work health and safety. And we will absolutely be using this organisation as a consultant and for courses education as well. It also provides effective compliance and enforcement measures and delivers continuous improvement and progressively higher standards of work health and safety. Now, if those of you who are old enough to remember the 70s, 80s, even 90s, you will know that now we are a much more regulated society, and this is part of it, but for the better or the good of everyone. Now, the spectrum is large of risks and hazards, and just a few I'd like to mention to you here. Now, the advent of fire, we see this all the time. It's not something that we want to entertain, of course, and we will be taking measures against that. When people are using machinery and agricultural equipment, you never know. Things happen so fast, and this act actually covers all this as well. Physical or psychological abuse or harassment. And this has really come to the fore in the last 5 years or so. We hear more and more of these sorts of organisations that don't condone, but they don't stop it either. And we are not going to be one of those. Another one, ventilation on building sites, long working hours, and a spectrum of other things that we will be taking care of. The point is, everyone, we all need to take this seriously. It's everyone's business, and I really would like you to get involved in this. Now, of course, there are ethical standards that we will comply with, and it's in our interest and in everyone's interest to do this. These ethical standards apply to fairness, honesty, and adherence to all safety regulations and the adoption of suitable policies to protect staff in their workplace. In the end, we want to and need to look after you, our staff, and we need you to help us to do that. The nature of our business, as you know, it's a merged business, and we have very many varied roles. Basically, off-site, so anything outside of this office, in the office, whether during the day, such as if there are trip hazards, etc., or in the evening, we need to know who's here. If they're alone, then we want to contain that. A range of situations outside of the office, and especially travel. And I'll give you an example, such as driving in the rural areas and coming across kangaroos. And of course, many varied locations and types of properties. Every one of these provides us with risk. We need to plan for this risk if we can't control it. Planning is of utmost importance. Now, we can circumvent many of these situations by purely training, and that will be done. Procedures for off-site risks. So we will be putting in place procedures. So who's attending an open house, for example, or an apartment block, in public or in private, whether it's inside or outside, doesn't matter. Is there a dangerous site that our people are going to, such as a building site where you need a helmet and all sorts of things? We want policies for events. For example, at the minimum number of staff at open houses, there will be at least 2 at every open house, for example. The use of shared diaries for collaboration where possible. We need all to know where each other is so that we can contact each other, and of course follow up if we haven't seen you for a while. The number of hours we work every day. Working hours, times of events, keeping in communication when off-site. Policies on personal safety in every regard. Agency lockup procedures. How are we going to do that to make sure that the building is secure and the people are safe here? And of course, emergency procedures always, and what sort of action to be taken. For example, first aid. Now, I'd just like to go through missed a slide here. I'm going back. This is, so excuse me for that. An organisation chart. Now, this is the organisation chart of our combined Smith & Jones Greengrass Agency. You'll know all these names. You'll know all these positions. Of course, me being the licensee, I'm going to be advised by Nick McNulty, who was the licensee of the Greengrass Agency. He will be around for a while. He has a wealth of knowledge across the real estate spectrum. We are going to be advised by 2 health and safety professionals on our staff at work and on site to see what you do, to see how we can make it safer for you. Firstly, Liz Henderson, is going to be advising us on health and safety as far as sales concerned. This is partly in the office, but more outside of the office. Different types of venues, different types of sites that we're going to. And of course, Marsha Donnelly, it will be based in the office and will be focusing on the office, the workplace during hours and after hours. Now, these are what we call stud positions. They are to the side. They don't have any hierarchy over any of our managers whatsoever, but they are consulting all of us. And I want all of us to be working with them. Of course, Karen Sillalot will be our senior sales manager, and we have combined all of the sales and stock and station and business broking arms within Karen's organisation there, or structure. We have rural sales with Jack, metro sales with Oliver, Rick, with stock and station agent, business broking with Clara, and of course their teams of sales, Jennifer Partridge, James, Mohammed and Klaus. Our property manager, Alice Yen, will be working with Kim and Johnson, and office managers, Arthur Dent, with the support staff, wonderful support staff of Colin, Angela and Mustafa. Important here, everyone, is that we are to work with Liz and Marsha and help let them consult with us and advise us how we can make our whole operation safe for everyone. Now we have some risks and control measures. So how are we going to implement these strategies once we find them? Well, there's actually a 7-step plan which we're developing. We're developing this plan. And the first step, of course, is identifying risks. If you don't know the risk, there's no way you can plan for it. And that's what we'll be doing as a first measure. We then will want to review each step and aspect of every risk and every hazard. Communicate it with everyone, implement it by January next year. If there are any incidents, we want to know about them. That's part of the feedback loop, and we will respond to the incidents, monitor them, and then repeat by going back to identifying risks that have come up that we hadn't thought about. Some examples, for example, we have some very good assistant agents with us, and a lot of the time they'll be working off-site. Now, due to lack of staffing, we've had to have some of our assistant agents actually at sites, open houses and other off-site locations alone. And I don't think it's fair on them. I don't think it's fair on our customers, our clients, and it's not fair on the business either. We want at least 2 agents, 2 assistant agents, or possible, where possible, an assistant agent and a qualified agent, depending on the size of the site, and maybe 3. It also has to do with the number of people that we expect to visit the open house. We have an unlit parking lot. This will be brightened up. We will have much better lighting installed, as well as security cameras. That is so important in this day and age. Now, we've had some issues with a high-rise block of apartments that is actually deemed unsafe for a lone visit. It's something to do with the building itself, but also there's a demographic there that it can be a little bit harassing at times, and we want to be able to circumvent that. We will want a minimum of 2 agents or 2 property managers visiting together, and each visit will be recorded, because we need to report and record everything we do there. So there's some dangerous sites there too. You know, there's not many, but of course we know about the ones. We know about these. Now, this is so important to have you on board. This is for everyone, by everyone. So we want everyone to be involved in the risk control plan. We want your feedback. We want you to review with us, and we want you to monitor situations and procedures. We want to hear back. There is no stupid question or stupid suggestion. We will listen to everything and act where necessary. We need to work together on this. We will include the following activities to help make this happen. Firstly, there'll be some initial training by February next year. And each 6 months, we will all be involved in training. That's from me to every member of staff. We want you, our staff, to consult and also contribute suggestions, especially on new risks that we haven't thought about or we haven't seen. So the more diverse we get, the more situations, more risks we are going to have. And we want you, please, to report any incidents whatsoever without any guilt at all. As I've said, of importance today and in the future, a risk control plan. It's legislated. We have an ethical responsibility, and we want our work environment to be safe for everybody, for everyone, Bye, everyone. I really hope that you're all on board with this program. This is our key to well-being at work, and to a great degree, therefore, our success at work individually and as an organisation. Thank you so much for your participation today. It's been a pleasure presenting to you, and I look forward to liaising with every one of you in future on this program.